It's time to talk sports, it's time for the show. When you hear this song on the radio, it's time to tune in, better act fast. Let me get that autograph. Potograph, Sports Talk Radio. Starting now.
Let's go. What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 176 of Let Me Get That Potograph. As always, my name is Drew, or the DH, and joining me, my awesome co-host, Mr. Scott Rappaport. I don't even think I need to introduce you anymore, really, but what's up, dude?
No, that's, I was going to say, we've been doing this a year now.
Yeah, can kind of move past that.
Yeah, everybody knows who I am. It's not a big deal. It's, we're just gonna roll and see what happens.
Yeah, so how's everything going? You doing good, man?
Yeah, doing great. It's exciting week. Got a lot going on in the world of sports. A lot of crazy things happening in certain sports that we aren't even going to talk about today because we try to keep it
going on.
I know we try to keep it to a certain time length here, and it's just
we can't make it 3 hours. I mean, we could talk with everything going on between the sports world, and obviously that's a correlation to the hobby. We could fill out a 4-hour podcast right now, but we're not going to torture you guys with that. But we do have
someday maybe we may do that.
Yes,
not
so
today.
Be prepared. No, it will not be today. But we do have a jam-packed show, guys. So we're going to dive right into it. And there's nowhere else to start. Holy crap, dude. There has never been, and I'll say it right now, I don't even have to go back and look. You might be able to say more influential. I don't know. This has been the most incredible and wild NBA trade deadline ever. It's insane.
I don't think I have seen this many big names being moved.
And there's more to come.
And it's not even over yet.
No.
I'm still like taking in, all this stuff. And we normally record on Wednesdays. We had some, personal conflicts going on yesterday. So we moved it to today. And I'm glad we did because overnight, I wake up, I check my phone and boom, Kevin Durant got traded.
Right.
Which I guess we kind of saw coming just especially after Kyrie got.
Well,
got
I mean, dude,
you
really, but that's the thing. A week and a half ago, you didn't. A week and a half ago, the Nets were just a team that could never stay healthy, or their players just didn't want to play, and they were just, blah, 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 walking through the season. Then all of a sudden, Kyrie demands a trade. It gets really, really ugly between them, as you can tell by the mayor and everyone in the world in New Jersey. Something real bad happened.
Brooklyn, man. Meeting. Brooklyn.
Yeah, Brooklyn. Sorry.
I know. I still say the New Jersey Nets sometimes too, but no.
We're Brooklyn, something really bad happened in that meeting because whatever was said, whatever happened, Kyrie shipped off to the Mavs, which we'll touch on in a little bit. But then 24 hours later, Kevin Durant to the Suns. This is huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
And it's one of those things. And we're also forgetting about D'Angelo Russell going back to the Lakers.
Yes, and like I posted a post on Facebook when LeBron, who did break that scoring record, and his cards are still going up. That Chrome rookie's now up to almost 40% in value as an update. But in addition to that, I said, was he wearing black because rest in peace to the scoring record or Westbrook's last home game? Well, it happened to be both, as they shipped out Westbrook as well.
Yeah.
He went to Minnesota. Mike Conley also going to Minnesota in that trade.
No, Westbrook to the Jazz.
Yeah, to the Jazz. Conley to Minnesota. D'Angelo Russell coming back to the Lakers, which I love that move. Because D'Angelo Russell in this version of the Lakers, this setup and who he's become, I think is going to fit really well. But, I mean, also you had Josh Hart to the Knicks, which gives Jalen Brunson a massive pickup. That so many amazing trades. And like I said before, OG, Zach LaVine, Fred VanVleet, all those guys could still get traded in the next 48 hours.
Yeah, and I personally just do not want to see Zach LaVine get moved, but I have mentally prepared myself for that happening. We're also forgetting about, a guy that we talked about early in the season that I thought would have just killed it, especially, moving to Utah and getting some really good minutes at first, at least, is Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
Yes,
he moved to the Timberwolves.
Yep,
and
I think that's a good move. I like that move.
I like that move too.
AE. Him playing with AE, I like that move. I agree with you. I thought he would have much more of an impact to start the year, but there's been multiple reasons, for that happening out. It's not all poor performance on his side. He definitely can step it up, but this new look Minnesota team, I mean, now you've got AE, Mike Conley, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker together. That's a solid group of guys to play with the rest of the team they've got down there.
No, exactly. And then, of course, quietly, my boy Justin Zanuck over in Utah picking up another first-round draft pick.
Yes.
That's the thing. It's like, Utah, they have not traded away they are literally stocked with first-round draft picks over the next, 5 years or 6 years.
I think they have an entire round themselves eventually.
It's very possible.
That way.
So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, look, they had a great start to the season. Some of these trades might help them out a little bit, but I don't think that they're going to buy out Westbrook. So
yeah,
he's not gonna play.
No,
but I think some of these other trades are going to help them a little bit. But they still, even though they're down compared to where they started the season, I think they're still better than how they looked on paper when the season started.
Oh, 100%.
And just the next 5 to 6 years of drafts are going to be absolutely insane.
Well, they can either stack those picks. Those picks are incredibly valuable, as you just saw.
Yep.
Getting Durant costed 4 for Phoenix. So hoarding those picks, if you want to either take a shot, which I'm always a big fan of on the youth guys, or do you want to package those picks? They've got enough to do both. They can take the high pick and package a lot of what they have, because they do have so much, and bring in those superstars. So you can never have, especially in the NBA, enough first round picks. And even if they're late round picks, even if they're record based or performance based incentives, whatever it is, you've proven in the last couple of years that even second round picks now have become very valuable. I mean, look at all these other guys.
Look at I hear a good example, Ayo DeSumo.
Yes, exactly. There's been quite a few in the last couple of years. So many of them that I can think of done. A lot of different people who are second round picks that have some value. So those picks hold a lot of weight, especially when you're making trades.
Yep. And who knows what they're going to do with them, but they're stocked with them. But I think the biggest move, the one that's going to help the most, I think, is the Kyrie Irving trade.
I would agree with you. Now, real quick before we dive into this, one thing we do need to hear is we have not heard back from Ja if he's cool with the West. He comes out and says, "Hey, man, I'm fine in the West." Yeah, dude. 48 hours later, how you feeling?
I'm pretty sure that he's had to change. Here's the thing: I'm pretty sure that Ja has had to change his underwear 3 or 4 times over the last couple of days because, KD to the Suns with that stocked lineup, or Kyrie going down to Dallas to play with Luka. Now the Lakers trade. I think that was more offloading. It was some dirty laundry than it was picking up guys, because they picked up D'Angelo Russell, they picked up Jared Vanderbilt.
Well, it's like I said last year, the Lakers do the same thing every year at the trade deadline. Any team that LeBron does, they fill out the role players, they trim the fat of the guys that aren't working with them, and they bring in role players that they know will. They bring in guys that they know will because they've got their superstars, and then they hope and rely on LeBron and his supporting cast of all-stars to stay healthy.
Yeah,
I mean that's their formula every year.
Yeah, but if I'm John Morant, I am pissing my pants right now because
I still love the Grizzlies in the West. I do. I still think they're a top team, but there's definitely a lot more competition now.
I think they're a top team as well, but now I'm looking. I like Dallas. Don't get me wrong, but now I'm really looking at Phoenix.
Well, you have to. I mean,
look
at the team that they've got. I mean, they've got a big 3 and Ayton I mean, you could put a big 4. I mean, they've got solid players in Phoenix right now. This is a scary basketball team. Putting Durant on that team, if he can play, if he stays healthy and all that, and if we'll see how they gel. I think they'll gel perfectly fine. This was a surprising landing spot for me. I think he'll do well. I think the whole team will. But that team is monstrously scary on paper.
So what do you think is going to be the biggest impact from a hobby standpoint, though?
Well, see, that's the big question, because obviously, all of these trades have massive impact on the hobby, not only on the players that were traded, but the other players on their team. Luka heavily benefited from Kyrie coming over there. Jalen Brunson is a guy I think who is going to benefit insanely by having a guy like Josh Hart added to the mix. Josh Hart complements Brunson perfectly, and I think that's the Knicks. I don't like to say winner much, but that's a big win of a trade for them. But I
would agree, but I would also say that Brunson going to the Knicks at the before the season started, that was a big win, for the Knicks as well. But that was also a big win for Brunson going to a huge market like that. But the reality is, when it comes down to the market for his stuff, it hasn't had that huge impact on this, and as well as he's played this year too.
Right.
It hasn't had that huge bump that I was kind of expecting.
Right. No, but I still think that bump can come, and I think it will come once we get towards playoff time and once we get past the All-Star break. When football's going on, especially, which we're going to touch on heavily with the way releases are scheduled now, that I think you're going to have to wait till football's over before anyone even really starts to pay heavy attention to basketball, especially the rookies, but even the vets as well, outside of the LeBrons and people like that. But if you ask me who honestly is the biggest winner of all of this, I've got a two-way tie.
Now, are you talking biggest winner within the hobby or
within the hobby?
Overall?
Within the hobby. Right. I think players whose cards are going to benefit the most long term, and neither of them are guys that were actually involved in the trades, but actually their teammates.
Okay.
I think Luka and Devin Booker, because Devin Booker, criminally underrated.
Yep.
Now has a chance to get a very good chance to get that championship. I think Kevin Durant is going to make Devin Booker a very, very, very good, much better basketball player. I think they play to each other perfectly. This was a wonderful fit from a basketball standpoint for Phoenix. So I think Devin Booker is a massive winner in the hobby long term, because he's just so underrated. I mean, his stuff's worth money, but it is not worth what it should be. And a lot of that was because he was just stuck there. I mean, you could almost tie Ayton into this, but Ayton being a big man, it's not going to look, I mean, he's kind of got that Jokic effect, I think, with him. Yeah. And so Booker, I love. And then Luka, I'm sorry, but if anyone thinks that Kyrie doesn't compliment Luka, they're nuts. And if anybody doesn't think that Kyrie, when he wants to play somewhere, when he's happy and has a good headspace and is happy, can be a great basketball player, they're insane. He can be such a benefit to Luka. Again, I think that helps the Mavs make a much deeper run as long as they stay healthy. They have to be healthy. Yep. They can't afford to get hurt because they have no depth. But I think Luka's cards in the end, playing with Kyrie, I think it's going to make the Mavs better. Therefore, I think Luka's stuff's going to go up. So the two winners that I have, at least the biggest winners out of all this, are probably would have to be Devin Booker and Luka.
See, I've got a little bit of a different take on that. I think as far as Luka goes, there's two things that I think are going to help with his card values and things like that. I don't think it's directly related to Kyrie, although Kyrie does play a part in it. One of those things is winning a championship.
Yeah.
And Kyrie will definitely help with that. But short of that, the other thing is winning an MVP.
Right.
But short of winning a championship, if they can't pull it off with Kyrie there, I don't see it being any, bigger. But what it does do, though, from a playing standpoint, is it adds another really dangerous player to that Mavs lineup.
Which they sorely needed.
Well, they did sorely need, because right now the focus has all been on Luka.
Then that's it. Yeah.
You got to defend Luka. You got to defend Luka. You got to defend Luka. Those are the three things that their opposing teams have to focus on. But now you also got to defend Kyrie, and that's going to unleash, what Luka can do. And I think that may also lead potentially to an MVP as well if Kyrie is there long term.
And that's where I see, a benefit. But I agree. He definitely does. It's gonna come down to a lot of other factors on his cards. I just see him being a big winner out of all these trades.
No, I agree. I think he's definitely a winner as far as the trade goes. Whether or not it's seen in the hobby, that is
right.
That's the thing. But I actually think my one guy who was part of the trades that's going to benefit hugely for this is D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest reason for that is, look, we all know that when somebody gets traded or leaves the team that they, were representing on their rookie card, it sometimes takes a hit. Yeah. And D'Angelo Russell, his rookie cards are all in a Lakers uniform.
Yep.
So going back to the Lakers, I think that may help things out a little bit for him.
Well, and you also go in with D'Angelo Russell is that year right before print run skyrocketed. D'Angelo Russell got in right before the print runs started to not skyrocket, but they started to slowly increase before the massive increase. So
was he 15-16 or 16-17? I think he was 16-17.
Yes.
Same year as the Ben Simmons rookie cards.
Yes. Same year as Ben
okay.
Simmons.
So that was the year. That was the last year of shorter print
runs outside of that, and then they moved it on, and so he definitely took a backseat to Ben Simmons in that. But you're right, having him back in the lane, and not only that, but the dude can play now. I mean, he wasn't prepared when he came into the league. He needed that, like I said, my 3-year rule. He needed a couple of years to get comfortable. Now he's coming back into the perfect situation for him, a guy, at least hobby wise, a guy whose cards have pretty much bottomed out. They have been very, very low. Now you have him back on a superstar team playing with LeBron James, getting a lot of attention every single night and having the opportunity to be involved in a massive resurgence, a massive run, has a chance to put up major numbers alongside of LeBron and whoever's healthy that night. I love it. But what you said is dead on. Having him in the Lakers uni is going to help his market. If we look at all these guys by percent moving up, I think in the end, that might be one of the bigger ones because of that Laker uniform rookie again.
Now the real question is, how many minutes is he going to wind up getting?
Right.
Because even with the trades and the players that were offloaded by the Lakers, in this,
they're still stacked up top.
They're still stacked, and I don't know if D'Angelo is one of those guys that is going to play absolutely amazing as long as he gets consistent minutes.
Right.
And the problem with going to a team like the Lakers that is so stacked is you're still, even though you're a great player, you're still pretty far down there on the totem pole.
Yeah, and you're playing with it. You're also stuck in that, and I think this really is the one problem with some of these superstar teams with players with lingering injuries. You're always, but your minutes are always bouncing around, so you're never comfortable because AD's out for 2 months. Then LeBron's playing. I think he's played 18 games this year or something now. There's no consistency. You look at the amount of different starting lineups they have. You look at the amount of minutes these guys play: 26, 7, 19, 24, 38, 38, 4, 7. I mean, it's nuts. So there's no rhythm you can get into. It can be very difficult. So it's going to be interesting to see his minutes, his usage rate, what they're bringing him in for. But I think he's somebody that will greatly. He plays off LeBron very well. He's the type of player that can play off LeBron very well. So when LeBron plays, I expect him to play quite a bit. And, I do like the trade. I actually wrote down right next to it, awesome move. So on my notes, I mean, that's all I can say on it. It really was an awesome move, and for the hobby especially.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what comes, but with the rest of the trade deadline. But at the same time, like 3 really big names have already moved. I think anything that comes after this is going to be anticlimactic, even if it's somebody like
Zach LaVine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like I just can't see they're
you just
waves.
built a team that's Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, DeAndre Ayton, and Chris Paul. I mean, good God, that's terrifying.
Yeah. But then again, at the same time, if you look at the team that the Lakers built,
I know.
And, you look at those names, that's just as terrifying on paper.
Oh, yeah.
But in reality, it's a completely different story.
Yep. It's going to be interesting to watch. And one thing's for sure, it has jump-started the hobby like crazy. I do have one last question for you. Westbrook being bought out, I think his cards are going to suffer tremendously as he's really fallen off for quite a while. I think he's going to be the biggest loser out of this. But with him being bought out, do you think – I personally think he finishes this year out, goes and plays 1 year somewhere else and is done if he doesn't call it quits after this year.
So my view on Westbrook is slightly different.
Okay.
I do think he has absolutely fallen off. There's no question about that, but that's not where I'm, kind of differing on this.
Right.
I think that he winds up he's going to get bought out. I think he winds up moving to a team that will be able to afford him. He'll be making, whatever veterans minimum or, something like that for the remainder of the season. And I think if he ends up with a team where he is actually playing and that, is in contention.
Right.
Depending on how well he does, that is going to be the deciding factor on whether or not his stuff within the hobby just completely tanks, or if he has a resurgence and starts to come back a little bit.
Yeah, well, his will definitely be interesting to see. But I did want to touch on him for one moment. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Couple more hours, about a day or so left in the trade deadline, but definitely shook the hobby up quite a bit. A lot of basketball cards moving right now of a lot of different people, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how the next couple of weeks play out within the hobby.
All right, guys, we're going to move on now to a little update. As everyone knows, quite possibly the biggest, at least in my opinion, the biggest hand-collated QC mistake in history, the beautiful George Brett Babe Ruth cut auto.
Yeah.
Little update to that, Scott.
So Panini put out a post the other day, and a lot of people have seen it. A lot of people have talked about it, but we got to mention it because we did talk about it last week. Panini got in touch with the person who got that, who pulled that card, and said, "Hey, send it in." They sent it in. They got their hands on it. They remade the card. So correct Babe Ruth cut auto. In addition to, I believe, and what they probably did was they took the jersey pieces out of the existing card and put them, back into where it was. So it is a completely remade card. A lot of people in a lot of the chat groups and things like that were talking about, well, now it's a 2 of 1, and no, that's not how it works. They destroyed the other card.
Yeah.
So it's still a 1 of 1. It's still the card that should have been on the sell sheet. Although
it's the same jersey pieces. It's everything. They redid the card art and all of that. They did put out a statement. I really liked how they handled it.
Yeah, I do too.
I think this was the best way they could have. Their statement: an assembly error involving a Babe Ruth cut auto, blah, blah, was recently brought to our attention. We contacted the collector, received the original, created a new card with new Ruth cut auto that's being shipped to the collector right now. And I love that they even attached the letter that the new cut auto came from.
Yeah,
so you got to see where the new cut came from, along with the new card. It was brilliant.
Yeah,
I could handle this.
I would have done one thing differently.
What's that?
Now, they didn't put out a statement about it at all, until
they fixed
everything was done, and they fixed it.
No, I agree.
The only thing I would have done was put out an earlier statement
saying we're doing this,
saying here's, hey, we, this error has been brought to our attention. We are working on getting in touch with the collector who has the card in order to rectify the situation. We will provide an update as things progress. That is it. That's the one thing that I would have changed. But still, even with that, props to Panini, for coming through and fixing this
getting it done quickly and putting an end to the story. I mean, collector happy. Problem
exactly.
solved.
Look, we know the card companies are going to make mistakes. It happens. Look, this one should not have happened.
No, this was someone who didn't open a booklet. This is someone who, when they collated the set, they didn't open the booklet to check it.
And prior to that, this is the person who put the autograph into the booklet that didn't check to make sure they put the right autograph in there. Yeah. And then it was probably their supervisor who didn't check, especially on a card that is going to be a nice 5-figure card. You got to check those things.
No, it was a bunch of people that said that looked at it and said, "How could you screw this up?" and didn't bother looking at it.
Exactly. But what gets me, it's not even from a quality control standpoint, but if I was the one packing out those cards,
I would want to look at them.
I'd want to look at the thing. I want to be like, oh yeah, this is cool. This is awesome. And
I know.
Oh god, it's the Babe Ruth 101 cut auto book. And
I mean, can you imagine getting to handle the entire National Treasures run? I mean, good God, I'd love looking at all that stuff, the cleats, everything. I mean,
I know. Well, the problem, and that's the reason that Panini doesn't hire the two of us to pack these products out.
Like 2 weeks to pack it out. Yeah,
like you think there's delays now,
right?
Scott and Drew are in there, in there packing everything out, and it's like 6 months later, and it's still not
taking
done.
Photos of every card.
We gotta wipe drool marks off and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, that's the reason they don't hire guys like us to pack out the products, is because
it take forever.
Exactly. But again, Panini did right on this one. Mistake shouldn't happen in the first place, but they were willing to fix up. And I still have that one lingering question. And we're only going to find out the answer once enough of this product has been opened.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
As where is the Babe Ruth cut signature that was supposed to be in that card?
Right. Well, I mean, was it even used? Like, did someone just... I mean, we're all assuming that all of these cut autos were all cut and then put into the card. Well, I mean, it's very, very possible that the way that this was done was the card was made, then they go grab. They've got an area, obviously, where all their autos are put, that they just grabbed an auto and accidentally grabbed a Brett, and the Babe was never put in there to begin with.
I mean but that's the thing, though. Babe Ruth is such a... But Babe Ruth is such a recognizable autograph, and it's clean. You can actually read it.
Yeah,
when you're looking at that auto that it says Babe Ruth.
Right. Yeah.
As opposed to some other guys that you can't even.
Well, even George Brett's, it's a bunch of circles.
Exactly. I had no idea that was George Brett's signature.
Exactly.
So looking at that, and I'm going to tell you, if I was the guy that ripped the product and I pull a card of somebody else that has Babe Ruth's cut auto in it, I'm not sending that back to Panini to get corrected.
No. I'm keeping that card. We talked about that on Hobby Hotline this week. That is probably the most iconic error of all time. I mean,
that would be one of those things. That card might actually be more valuable than the actual Babe Ruth 101 cut auto.
Yeah.
I
definitely wouldn't be getting it fixed.
No, exactly. If Panini reached out and said, "Hey, we'd like you to send that back. We'll fix it for you." No, that would be a hard no.
Yeah.
I will probably sell it, but it's and if that guy wants to send it in to correct it, then that's their problem. But no. That would be a hard no. If I have that card,
value, none of that. No.
Yeah, if I am the person that winds up pulling that card, not that I open NT Baseball, but if it does happen to me, I'm going to tell Panini right now, and Jeff, if you're listening, just pay attention.
Yeah.
If I wind up with that card in my possession,
you ain't getting it.
Don't even bother.
Don't
even take the time to reach out to me and say,
delete the email.
No. No, yeah, don't even send it. It's just one of those things that is going to get kept or sold or whatever, because that becomes another iconic card.
Absolutely.
If it exists,
right? If it exists, and that's where I don't know exactly how they do all the cut autos, so it'll be interesting. And like you said, the only way that we're ever going to know is once all of the cut, because there's multiple cut autos in that National Treasure set. So we've got to wait to see all the cut autos that come out and see if it ends up in there. And
now I do have one more question I didn't think about though.
What's that?
Now I understand a cut auto for Babe Ruth. I get that. He's dead.
Oh,
He's not signing anymore.
Brett?
Why on earth do you have a cut auto for a guy that is still alive and still signing?
Well, that's my biggest. I've questioned that countless times. Is why on earth is there a George Brett cut auto? What's there? He's not. I don't even think he was in the checklist. I'd need to double check, but I don't think he's even in the checklist of that. But yeah, why on earth is there a George Brett cut
under
auto?
what circumstance did somebody say, hey, you know what? Maybe we should do a cut auto of a guy that we could probably just go get a bunch of stickers or get hard sign cards from because he's still around and still kicking. So who thought that was okay?
I know that's a that's a valid question. I have no answer for you, but that's a valid question.
It's like I understand in certain circumstances you want to do a cut autograph of like Steve McMichael, who, big guy from the 85 Bears. He's not signing anymore because of Parkinson's. And it's like, okay, great. Cut auto. Perfect. That's a great situation. He's still around, but he's not signing anymore. Cut auto. 100%. Yeah. George Brett? Yeah.
I know. As he sits there at his house with thousands of stickers probably that he's signing at the same time.
I know, and the worst part about it is marijuana is not even legal in Texas. Like, if they were based in California or somebody out there, or Colorado or something like that, making the decisions, all right, cool. We can blame that. But no, it's not even like normally the answer is drugs.
Yes.
But no,
you can't even. Yeah, I know. I don't even think we can claim it on that one for this one. Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever.
One of these days we'll get an answer and we'll figure it out. But hopefully I want to see a card of some other player. Hopefully it's George Brett that has the Babe Ruth cut auto in it, pop out of NT, and or would be even wilder to see that Babe Ruth cut auto in an NT football or NT basketball.
Yeah, just something really out there.
Yeah, imagine pulling a Bill Russell. And I can use Bill Russell now because he's not with us anymore, so cut autos are acceptable. Right. But imagine pulling like a Bill Russell cut auto, but it turns out to be like Babe Ruth. That would actually be really freaking cool. I'd still slam Panini for that one. But it would still be cool.
Absolutely. So we'll have to see. I don't know what's going to happen, but an update that Babe Ruth has finally been updated. Like I said, if I do pull that card, I'm with the Babe Ruth, I'm definitely not giving it back to him. And like you said, I'd probably sell it because I got to pay bills. And speaking of bills, guys, we'll be right back.
And we are back.
Yes.
Bills are paid, wallet's full. And
I don't know about that.
Well, yeah, no, I got that too. Other things are full, but it's usually the bill pile and not the wallet. But hopefully that will change after this weekend because we have one of the biggest betting events of the year coming up on Sunday. Of course, we're talking about the Daytona 500 qualifying. No, totally kidding. We're talking about the Super Bowl. Everybody knew that. Hey, look, people call me stupid. I get that sometimes too. But even I knew the Super Bowl is coming up on Sunday. We were horribly wrong with our predictions coming up. And there's some really weird stuff that has actually popped around with this Super Bowl that before we get into the actual game. Have you seen the script for it, by the way, Drew?
Oh, yeah. They send me. They've been sending me copies for years. I used to have NFLPA credentials. I've had those scripts for years. I get them. Oh, nice. I get them before the season. I knew this shit. Nice. I just wanted to be wrong a couple weeks ago.
All right, cool. So here's the funny thing. So there are new artificial intelligence things. Everybody's heard about like Chat GPT and things like that.
Right,
And I'm still planning on doing something really fun with that coming up in the next couple of weeks. But there's I think it's Microsoft's artificial intelligence search engine that somebody asked about the Super Bowl coming up this weekend, and like they went into this whole diatribe about like a recap of the game, including a score with Philadelphia winning 31 to, I think it was 31 to 27 or 31 to 28.
Yeah, it had time of game, it had everything.
Exactly. It talking about like which songs Rihanna sang at halftime and things like that. It's like, okay. So what this is really lending into the whole conspiracy theory about this whole thing being scripted. That being said, we are going to make predictions this week. We are hopefully going to be right. And, we're going to talk about, what players are going to get a boost hobby wise, how things are going. So I'm just going to start off right now. I do think Philly is going to win.
Same here. I'm going to go with you. I got to go with you.
I am going to go with the script, and I think it's going to be either 31-27 or 31-28. Because artificial intelligence doesn't get things wrong very often.
All right. Well, I have it as a high scoring game as well. I think one team gets into the 40s because it's a Super Bowl. Yeah, I think Super Bowls follow. They always have the same script. I get it every year. They follow the same formula. It's slow at the beginning, and then it piles up in the end. The scoring kind of really. The fourth quarter, it's almost different than every other game, but the fourth quarter normally has more scoring than any other time in the game.
Well, and that's because the team's, the team is down tends to take more chances and,
right. Of course. Of course. But I actually think someone does get into the 40s. I do think it's probably a 2 or 3 point game. So you give me maybe 42-39, 41-38, something like that. But I do have the Eagles. I've got the Eagles. I think this is Jalen Hurts' year. I think this Eagles team is top to bottom better, not only from a health standpoint, but also I think when you look at defense and offense top to bottom, as well as the guys that are going to have to come in and play those crucial minutes, that are going to have to come in and play those backup roles. I like the Eagles roster top to bottom better. I like their defense better. And when it comes to playoffs, I revert back to the defense. If you've got an offense that can hang, as long as your offense can hang, which we know the Eagles offense can, I go to the defense. So you got to give me the Eagles, and they might not stop them from scoring 30 points, but they're gonna stop them from, they're gonna be the difference in the game, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think from a hobby standpoint, Hurts just being in the Super Bowl
massive
is a hobby winner, regardless of how this game ends, unless there is a chance that he winds up going out there throwing 4 interceptions, no touchdowns, and just has an absolutely horrific game. I think you'll see a fall off for him. But ultimately, as long as he can play, up to his standard that he's been playing all season, he is a winner, win or lose.
Mahomes, going into next year, he's going to be one of the most hyped. Again,
exactly. Yeah. Mahomes, on the other hand, from a hobby standpoint, he needs to win.
Yes.
I think if Kansas City ends up losing, even though it may not be the fault of the offense, it may be a defensive failures that wind up dooming them. If Kansas City loses, I do see a slight drop in Mahomes' hobby value.
Yeah.
But a win will probably bring things back up to where it was, 6-8 months ago,
right?
Before the overall market drop. But I still don't think it brings it back to pre-pandemic high.
Yeah, no. I don't either. I think Mahomes, he really does have to win because his prices are baked in as the next guy, the next big thing. He is the heir apparent to a lot of people in the hobby. He's got to come in and win this game. And I think it'll have a massive impact on his cards if he doesn't. I do think they'll go back up because the Chiefs he's going to be there for a while. He's going to be back every year, but we got a lot of up and coming great quarterbacks. If he's not careful and they do struggle and he has a couple of years where maybe they don't make the Super Bowl, they don't get there, you're going to see a decline in his stuff. Yeah. Big time, because it's already baked into a lot of people that he's the next Brady because they want him to be. Well, you got to hold that position, man, and there's a lot of cats coming for you.
Yeah. Now, here's what I want to know is what kind of odd things are we going to see during this game? Because every year we wind up seeing, some oddities, trick plays or, just some random stuff. Last time Philly was in the Super Bowl, they pulled off that what they referred to as the Philly special.
Yeah.
Where it was, Nick Foles receiving a pass instead of making one for a touchdown. One that I think we're going to see, and I don't think it's going to have an impact on the game. I think it's either going to be the last play or it's going to be the, if one of the two teams is up by a lot at any point during the game, I think we're going to see one of two things. I think we're going to see, and I'm forgetting his first name, but Kelsey, the center for Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I see him lining up on defense for one play, mainly so
he can guard his brother.
So either guard his brother or just line up against, because they're both offensive players. They will never see the field at the same time together, especially during the Super Bowl. It may be the last play. It may be a kneel down play, where they put him out there or something like that, or it could be the other way around. It could be Kansas City putting, Travis Kelce out there on defense, for something just so he's on the field at the same time as his brother. But it's either got to be the last play that's going to be a kneel down, or it's got to be one of the two teams has got to be up by a massive amount in order for that to happen.
I do think you do see something like that, especially they'll do anything to get that podcast up off the ground that they got running too.
You know what would help them get it off the ground if they were to come on as guests with us.
Yeah.
That will help them get that up off the ground.
Exactly, guys. So forget about lining up against each other. Just come on, let me get that potograph and you'll be set.
Exactly. I mean, and aside from the last play, 15 lateral type things, which, we tend to see it in a close game anyway. What are you thinking? Like, what's the over under on trick plays?
Oh man, you're going to see it with the Chiefs, especially. I think you got at least two with the Chiefs. Cause I mean, I don't know if they'll try and rub it in people's faces and do their merry-go-round huddle or anything like that. But, I do think,
which I think is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
that's not even a trick play.
I know,
that's just being stupid.
Yeah, it's just being stupid. But yeah, probably two. I'd say two. It's a good over under.
Yeah, I think one on each side or something like that. Or okay. Speaking of Super Bowl, it's the end of the NFL season.
The very end
of the NFL season. What's coming out?
Yeah, and it's really pissing me off.
Donruss.
Yes,
the flagship product. Yes, the product that should be out in within the first couple of weeks of the start of the season is it's coming out now.
It's coming out now. This is ridiculous, dude. Okay, all right, and it's really
hold on before you get into this. Let me just spot this. Drew's rant.
Okay. All right. The biggest thing about this that drives me nuts is that it's changing everything about collecting. If you're prospecting, and about prospecting, and if you're chasing rookies and everything, and about how we collect. This is the flagship product. This is normally the first product you get. It used to be the first product you'd get with them in pro uniforms, everything like that. It was a big deal. The rated rookie is, the low end card. This is the product that's supposed to grab and pull in all the casual collectors for the entire NFL season. That's what the flagship product is made for. That's why baseball and Topps and Series 1 puts it out at the beginning of the fucking season. You're putting out Donruss, your flagship product. You put out 1 million products so far this year. There's no excuse to not have Donruss unless you didn't have Brock Purdy in the original checklist and you pushed it back solely for Brock Purdy. That it just makes no sense to me.
And that doesn't make sense because Brock Purdy didn't start playing until week 11.
That's my point.
Or something like that. The product should have been out long before that.
Way before.
Yeah, that did. In fact, I can tell you that did not factor into the decision at all.
Yeah, no, and that's my point. This just makes no sense to me. And not only that, my God, this is the ugliest fucking Donruss I've ever seen in my life. You ruined Optic too because it's the same design. This is it. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous to me.
I don't know. I'm not entirely sure what's worse, this or 2015. I think it's 15-16 Donruss basketball.
Yeah, they're both awful.
Pretty bad. That one's pretty bad too.
But this is pretty stupid. I mean, this design makes no sense to me.
This is ugly.
Oh, it's hideous.
This is one of those things. And frankly, look, let's be honest. When it comes down to prospectors and the people that are, collecting certain players and stuff like that, they're not necessarily looking at the card design for the rookies. They don't necessarily care. But the casual collector,
yeah,
which is, believe it or not, the bulk of the hobby.
Yes.
The casual collector is going to look at this and wonder how this happened because, again, marijuana is not legal in Texas.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. I mean, this is absurd. If you guys haven't seen it, it's basically a whiteboard with a couple of really stupid squares thrown in absolutely nonsensical places, along with a name on the bottom. It's pathetic. And the rated rookie, a symbolic, really, really valuable name recognition. You want to talk about something that holds cachet in the hobby.
It is an iconic.
That's my
piece within the hobby.
And this is what you're going to give us this year? This is what you're going to put into the entry of all the beautiful rated rookie designs. Now, I do love that they've gone away from the dumb fake poses where the quarterback's pretending to throw the dumb pass or anything like that, where they're standing on a stand. And we do have some actual, game or not game even, but even just on-field stuff as opposed to photo shoot shots for rated rookies. I've always preferred that, but even if this is a low-end product, you've got a high-end or a higher-end product attached to it with Optic. So it's the same design, everything. You've got I just don't understand how you can take such an iconic brand and put this design on it and say, oh, yeah, this fits in. This really shows it the respect it deserves.
I'm thinking at this point, they're just phoning it in.
Yes.
Knowing that it's like, all right, we got a couple years left.
Oh, we're going to touch on that in a minute.
Yeah, it's like, we got a couple years left. Let's just, phone it in and, hey, this looks good. And you know what? It was probably the guy that designed it is probably the same guy that put the George Brett signature inside that Babe Ruth card.
Quite possibly. Yeah, I mean, they have so few employees. It probably is. Sadly,
okay. And look, like everybody knows that's not the case. The guy who designed is not the person who put the signature in there. But it's So, again, I had to clear that up because there's some stupid people out there like, oh, man, Rappaport thinks that it's, the same guy who designs the product.
I know.
Manufacturing it too. No,
don't give them any gunfire to put anything out because they'll run with it and try and make.
No, and that's it. Look, that's the reason I got to clarify shit these days. Is
exactly.
Because, people take everything you say literally. They don't understand sarcasm. They don't understand humor. It's terrible.
Yeah. Now, I will say one thing. If the Donruss schedule, if this is how we're going to put Donruss out at the end of the year now and everything, instead of the beginning and let a full season go by before you start even taking a look at some of these bigger products, it does bring in, when Fanatics takes over in a couple of years, it does bring in that perfect area of Bowman being and prospecting, and that really being where you're chasing the guys during the year, the cards that you're going after, and beforehand. It really opens up the idea of prospecting. Now, I don't see Fanatics doing that. I think you have to move something like Donruss back to the beginning of the year for the simple fact that it is your flagship, or you've got to decide it's not your flagship, which I hope they don't. I hope they just do a full redesign after this year because
they don't really have another
like base low end type product that could
Right.
be the flagship. It's been Donruss.
Well, and it always has been, because then you've got, I mean, it's the same way with Tops, and then you have Tops Chrome, Donruss, and then you have Donruss Optic. I mean, it's the same idea. It's a flagship product. So no excuse for it to be coming out this late, and no excuse for that design to have ever left the table and been put out in the beginning. But, you know, you mentioned phoning it in. I guess this will be an entire second half.
I know where you're going with this, because we've talked about it over the last couple of days, but continue.
Prizm, another product that is coming out this week. Prizm football coming out. They released the designs, Panini did, and this is the 10th anniversary. Now, it's the 11th release technically, but it is the 10th anniversary of Prizm. And in my opinion, they had an opportunity with the 10th anniversary. They have even promoted it themselves, saying it's the 10th anniversary. With all of that going on, they had the opportunity, in my opinion, to do something really amazing with a brand that came out of nowhere, was a laughing stock, and has turned into an iconic brand. And speaking of shit designs, this is just awful. This is just terrible. I can't imagine going in and saying, let's celebrate 10 years and throw this out there on people.
Doesn't look much different than last year.
No, they just made a thicker border. It's getting
the year before.
No background.
I don't know what they were thinking with this, because this is something that, you know, should have been. It should be a redesign every year.
Yes,
and for some reason they decided, in their infinite wisdom, down at Panini's headquarters in Texas, that Prizm should look the same. Now, if it was like a continuation set, okay, cool.
Right,
I get that, but it's not. No. It's a thing. And the one thing that I would love to have seen, I would love to, just 1 year, a borderless Prizm release.
Yes, yeah.
I think it'd be cool as hell.
Some type of, maybe even if you don't even do like borderless, like a one side or a half side or something different.
No, what you do is you do like a bottom border where you have the name and the team name and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then you do like they screwed up with the Rodney Hood card in last year's Prizm.
Yeah, there you
release,
go.
Where the background image went all the way across all the way to the top and then all the way to the sides.
Yeah.
And I think that would be like an absolutely killer product.
Oh yeah, especially the parallels, having the colors come up. I mean, it would be a beautiful thing. And
although it would be tougher to have some of those colors though, because typically the color is around the border.
Right.
Not around. So like, how would you get around doing that? Or maybe do borders for the color, but the base you do an edge to edge.
Yeah, I mean, Topps Chrome has gotten away with it for years. I think there's very easy ways to do it. I think Optic is a lot easier, and obviously Optic doesn't have borders every year on everything. There's been years they haven't, but the borders do on Prizm have a whole lot to do with it. It's just, for me, like, unless there's some major surprises, I do hope they do like a 10th anniversary parallel, like they did the 75th edition NBA this year. I would like to see a 10th anniversary type thing. In my opinion, it would be really neat if they brought back some nostalgia from the original Prizm and did the pylon prisms, maybe.
Well, I think that's where they really dropped the ball.
Yes.
What they should have done was done an insert set, and maybe have it like a 50 card insert set where you've got 5 players with designs from each of the 10 years.
Yes, celebrate the history of this brand. And the reason that I think it's so important is because they're losing licenses to basketball and football soon. So we're not going to have but a 12, 13 year window where Prizm was, considered a quote unquote fully licensed product and everything. Yep. So to just throw out the same generic basketball throwback to the original design as a subset is just as your only real celebration of the history. Like, again, this feels like it's phoning it in on a product that really you got incredibly lucky with, because I was a massive Prizm collector in 2012. I was laughed out of the room. When I created OPC on Facebook, I was laughed out of the room because it was a Prizm collecting group. Prizm was a joke.
Yeah.
And it had turned into, thanks to Ben Simmons, it turned into a massive, massive brand that it is today. And if I'm a company like that and I have these anniversary editions, that's where I'm putting my foot down. I'm really sinking in. I'm putting 2 times the meetings together. I've got the design team working overtime, and I really put out something that truly showcases the history of that brand.
Now, it is possible. I haven't looked at the checklist yet to see if this is out there, but if you remember when they did the 5th anniversary Prizm for basketball, they did a numbered variation, that was like one of the colors, and they were all numbered to 5. And it was kind of like a silverish, but it had the 5th anniversary logo, like
right. That's what I was saying with
the
10.
image. And yeah, if you do that with 10, that would actually be really cool. Now, also keep in mind that the 5th anniversary, they still didn't have the greens, so there was no Prizm number to 5.
Yeah,
you had your 101s, then it went to the golds at 10.
Now by the checklist, the only thing that celebrates this whatsoever, including hobby parallels, there's not a 10th anniversary parallel, is the Prizm Flashback football insert set, which has a silver, mojo, gold, and black finite, so 4 parallels. Other than that, there's one new super short print insert, which looks beautiful, called Profiles. But outside of that, no celebration.
And this is the insert that's basically the 2012 basketball design, right?
Yeah, it's got a picture of them, without their helmet on in the background, and then as the main focus. And then
not the profiles. I'm talking about that insert set where they've with the different parallels.
Yes, it's the exact same insert set from basketball, celebrating the 2012 original design, and then you have a couple of parallels on that, literally 4. And then that's it. That's all they did for an entire 10-year celebration of Prizm. And it just blows my mind.
And I'm actually shocked they didn't use the original football design.
Exactly.
Instead, they used the basketball because they were different. Back then, they were different designs.
Exactly.
They could have at least used the football design.
Thank you. It drives me nuts. Now, it is possible when everything comes out that they've got some hidden surprises for us. Who knows? That it is possible.
It happens.
But looking at all the information that they have given us, I mean, all we got were massively thick borders. I'm talking to the point where I'm looking at this Justin Herbert mock-up, and dude, after you take everything away, there's literally not enough room for 3 players to fit into the window of actual action. 3.
So 15-16 for basketball. You remember that they released Prizm Mosaic as an apology product
for replay.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if there is going to be it's something that's maybe unannounced right now that might be a 10th anniversary apology product. Or they may decide to create, instead of an apology product, they may decide to do it as a wrapper redemption.
Or they may, they may put out a 10th anniversary Prizm set. For all we know, there's going to be an entire 10th anniversary edition that has something completely different. There's a lot of things that they could do. An online exclusive drop, cosmic parallels of some crazy stuff. Who knows?
But they did miss several opportunities. Like a flashback insert set with all of the different years included in it. That was one. The other thing they could have done, which would have been really easy for them to do, would be buybacks.
Yes.
Have some buyback cards that are in there. And
hard signed buybacks. Finally have an on-card Prizm autograph in a product, since there's never been one, besides the Dak reproduction. Only the Dak golds and everything that he signed after the sticker gate. that was the only ones that had ever been hard signed. Get some actual hard signed Prizm stuff out there for once, and then have some awesome buybacks, grab some really cool tie-dyes, some old school camos, some stuff that once again celebrates the history. And with a quote unquote not that stellar rookie class, what better way to put massive demand on Prizm than to celebrate all the history of it?
Could you imagine if there was a buyback Kobe or LeBron gold?
Right.
From 20, from 20, no, this is football. Sorry, not basketball. But somewhere along the line.
Manning or a Brady, lots of different
look at Brady.
stuff.
A Brady gold, would be amazing in there. Even if it's not autographed, doesn't mean, and it could, even if it was graded, they could put it in there as a redemption.
Mm-hmm.
You redeem it, it's there. They have it, so they can ship it in 6 months because they're so backlogged. But you can do it that way. I mean, there's so many things that you can do with this product and a 10th anniversary that they just didn't.
No, major drop of the ball. I don't want to keep pounding on them because I like I said, I'm one of those people that have loved this product since I was buying blasters for like $12, $15 at Walmart, and everyone laughed at me. Like, I have loved this product for over a decade. To see what they put out for a 10th year anniversary, combined with a quote unquote weak rookie class that you want to drum up hype for, this was the perfect opportunity to really push things forward. And I think people are just in these companies are just becoming way too complacent with their designs. If there's ever an example of phoning it in, this is it right here.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Is what they did.
And speaking on redemptions real fast, get ready for a flood of LaMelo Ball cards, as all those rumors you heard forever about how he was not signing cards. I told you guys on the show a long time ago it was bullshit, and all the LaMelo redemptions are being sent out now. So get ready to be flooded with LaMelo on card autographs headed your way. But Scott, probably a good time to wrap up today's show. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's good. Next week, we'll recap the winners and losers from the hobby from the Super Bowl, recap any additional winners and losers from the NBA trade deadline that is ending, and whatever else happens within the hobby.
Yeah, and I'm sure there will be quite a bit going on in there. But guys, enjoy the Super Bowl. But that is going to do it for episode 176 of Let Me Get That Potograph. Once again, I'd like to thank our awesome sponsors, Vanity Slabs, Card Ladder, Show Your Slabs, Slab Strong, Denver Card Shows, and Treasure Hunter Sports Cards. Thank you guys so much for sponsoring the show. We could not do it without you guys. New episode of Let Her Rip was just put out on Wednesday. Definitely check it out. One hell of an amazing box. There is going to be a giveaway up on Instagram this week with an amazing cards. Make sure you check that out as well. And of course, Hobby Hotline every Saturday morning and Tuesday evening. Saturdays on Bench Clear Media, Tuesdays on the Hobby Hotline platform. But guys, we will be back next week. Might be a little later as I have to do a minor surgery at the beginning of the week. Nothing major, nothing to worry about, but we will be back.
They've really sped up those turnaround times on those sex change surgeries, haven't they?
Yeah, really quick. But we will be back next week, guys. And until then, and on that note, keep ripping those packs, pulling those hips. We'll talk to you next week. Peace.